This is the part three. This is the wrap up of the thought that we rather not be in relationships that challenges us to love unconditionally. We left off on blame and talking about the obedience, that my obedience, the way that I move, the love that I share. And I'm speaking on behalf of humanity, of us, when we find ourselves in these romantic relationships, that who I am as a person and the love that comes from me as I express it should not be contingent on whether you doing what I'm doing, because we're two different people. And I'll go into the conversation by saying that we have to understand where people are. We have to love them. And I hate to say have to. Our position should be to love people where they are. And as that agape love continues to gush forth from our hearts, and we continue in the expression of who we are, which the love's going to flow through, eventually, if it's meant for us to be with that individual, that relationship will manifest. Once we take our hands off the wheel, once we take away our ownership on the relationship and just be who we've been created and designed to be, if that relationship is meant to be, it will manifest. Now, what I want to touch on and close out this whole series, if I can, is cognitive dissonance. There's a term in psychology, cognitive dissonance, and it's basically, in a nutshell, I have a thought. Let's just say Mr. Cage says, I have a thought of being married. In order for me to be married to my bride, I have to go through a process. Her and I have to go through a process of getting to know one another, building, associating values, seeing what values we hold to and what values we don't. But there's also going to be some conflict that comes into play. And conflict is a tool for growth. Conflict in our lives does not come to destroy us, but it does. It comes to destroy who we perceive ourselves to be, not who we've been called and designed to become. So there's conflict that takes place. And in my life, when I was in relationships, then when that conflict would continue to come, because I still had the only child mentality, I would blame and say, this is your fault. You did this. You said this. You didn't do this, which justify my behavior to exit the relationship. So I wasn't loving that person where they were. I was more infatuated and geared my attention on what they were doing according to my system of thought, my value system, and my standard, which is unfair, because we all have different life experiences. And if you find yourself in a relationship with a person and it should start off as a friendship and is meant to be, it's been heavenly designed for you to be with this individual, we have to learn how to love individuals unconditionally, no matter what the situation, no matter what the case may be. Again, if it's meant for us to be connected to that person. But cognitive dissonance on a psychological level won't let that happen, because what it does, lastly, is that it relieves the pressure, and are related to birthing. A woman normally carries a child for 9 months. And when that 9 month cycle is over with, there's normally a birthing, a pushing that takes place. If that woman chooses not to, for whatever reason, push that baby out, that baby, the probability of that child, that infant dying increases. With us, as I close this thought out in this part three, our purpose in association with who we should be connected to in a romantic relationship, who our husband is, who our wife is, that purpose gets aborted because when pressure comes, we have the tendency to go in the path of least resistance. My challenge for you, my thought for you, is to go into the path of greatest resistance. And that's how that relationship will be birthed. It's going to take some pain, it's going to take some sacrifice, it's going to take selflessness. It's going to take everything that you are to get it done, but it's worth it. This is Mr. Cage. This is part 3, closing this thought out, that we rather not be in relationships that challenges us to love unconditionally. When we get in these relationships and they challenge us to love unconditionally, it builds strong, authentic character. Please like, share, and subscribe, and hopefully these thoughts found a little place in your space.